Hi, I'm Connor, and this is Marcus, and we're Team Milkshake. In this video, we'll be talking about our project and how to reverse engineer an executable.
Reverse engineering is the process of determining what an executable does when we don't have the source code, and in some cases, modifying it. It's a popular method for hackers seeking to make a program malicious, get around restrictions and security measures, or cheat on a computer game. It's also used by security specialists to analyze executables that might be harmful. The objective of our project was to reverse engineer the Windows game Minesweeper to implement a cheat.
Our biggest challenge in this project was starting from a blank slate as far as knowing anything about reverse engineering. So we first spent a significant amount of effort on research to be sure what steps were necessary to take and what steps were relevant to what we were actually needing to do. This was done by looking at how others approached similar problems and why they did it. For example, we learned that executables could be packed, which is a way to compress and encrypt the executable, and learn how to check for it, although this was not necessary information for this project.
We were surprised to learn that executables are very inflexible. Their size cannot be changed without significant consequences. With further research, we found that to get around this, we could use a method called code caves. This means that we could create gaps for new instructions by deleting pre-existing ones. Of course, we had to be careful not to make our program unstable by deleting a critical instruction. Next, we found that the most practical tool for our task was a debugger, and downloaded and tested several options before choosing two to use.
Our primary debugger was called x64 Debug, which had a very complete interface and had functionality that was especially helpful for reverse engineering. We used it for almost all debugging to mark variables and important instructions as we stepped through the code. Our second tool was called OllyDebug. We didn't find its debugging functionality quite as robust as that of x64, however it was useful because it made directly altering the executable very easy. Another tool we found helpful was called ArtMoney. It allowed us to locate the instructions we wanted to alter in order to change how the game worked, for instructions that were changing important values in memory. We could use it to search for a particular value in live memory, a timer value for example, and then use x64 to search for all instructions that affected that place in memory.
So we found a really solid process using these three tools to implement all of our changes. We used ArtMoney to find the instructions we might want to change, investigated them using x64 Debug, then made our changes in OllyDebug. We feel like we really benefited from this project, especially because of the thorough research we did before diving into the code. Because we made an informed plan first, we probably saved ourselves a lot of frustration in implementing our cheats and probably also produced more stable code. Now we're explaining the cheats that we've implemented, and the first one is that we have deactivated the timer in the top right. It never starts. Normally it would start as soon as you clicked the first tile, and it doesn't, as you see. And so now the player only has to worry about uncovering all the tiles without hitting a mine. Now Connor will explain the second cheat.
Second cheat changes the functionality of the flags, and what it does is it gives the user the option to uncover all the bombs if he desires. If you want to use the option uncover the bombs, you start your move and flag a tile, and there you go, all the bombs are uncovered. You can play the game as if it's all normal, only difference being you can see the bombs. Still hit the bomb, still lose, still win. If you don't want to use that functionality, you can click two tiles before the game starts and play as normal. And you can still use the flags to mark your places and all this stuff. This is great because it doesn't change any of the functionality of the game. It works for beginner, intermediate, and expert mode, as well as custom modes. You still win, still lose. It just focuses on your ability to win the game.